Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios. Trismegistus Academy Episode 15, Story and Art, with Maverick's Maximum Venom. That's right, it's time to see some of the Mavericks venomize into great warriors. Let's hop in and see who gets to take the dog dunk.
Alright, so I decided...
No, that was actually kind of terrible. I'm sorry for that line.
to add one more pop culture related episode into my series, The Trismegistus Academy, before we get into the tournament arc. Because I realized in this episode, there was a perfect spot for me to add in something that also used to be a classic of this channel, but I haven't used in a while. Venomizing things.
Oh yeah!
I think it's a fun addition to an episode that admittedly has a lot of other stuff going on in it as well. But since there's lots of story to cover, let's get right into it now, shall we? Let's go.
Hit like if you want. Subscribe if you feel like it. By the way, enjoy the show.
Previously on the Trismegistus Academy.
Haha, Venomized Jake. Oh, this is gonna be good.
The headmistress of the Trismegistus Academy for Heroic Enlightenment, Evangeline Trismegistus, made an agreement with the treacherous Eloise Ludum, headmistress of the newly made Ludum Academy for Fearsome Fighters, to have their schools compete in a combat tournament under the guise that this was mainly to give their students a chance to push themselves to become better.
Yeah,
in truth,
training,
it was all to
quote-unquote.
keep an eye on Ludum and to try to find a way to get her school shut down. The Maverick class at Tahe had come up with a plan in tandem with some students at the LAFF to do just that. One of those students, Alsaya Lamani, was kicked out of the LAFF recently for attacking Ludum, but after joining the Mavericks and learning that fellow classmates, Jake Tajin and Anna Fens, had been on a team with Professor Dresden Oakland at a time, who'd killed Alsaya's sister, it became evident that Ludum had wanted Alsaya to find this out while being at Tahe and attack or kill Dresden, as well as possibly Jake or Anna. Upon seeing the degree to which Dresden has turned his life around,
everything became open air.
And is trying to help others do the same, Alsaya made a tentative agreement to fight Ludum alongside Dresden when the plan was finally underway, to massively irritate Ludum and not give her the satisfaction of knowing she'd caused chaos in Alsaya's life. Their allies within the LAFF, Waru Umrek and Katas, aka Tale Fanimo, are also doing what they can inside the LAFF to prepare for the plan to go into action on the day of the combat tournament. They too are very eager to take Ludum down. Let's see how everything has gone in the build-up to the beginning of that fateful event, and how Jake and Anna have been doing since they started dating.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Next chapter of the Trismegistus Academy.
Didn't I actually realize just how much stuff has been going on? I mean, wow, there is so much. Jake's got a girlfriend, and he's building his own little team to take down a power maniac. Iona, I'm sorry I'm messing with the name. My brain is just too excited. Let's just play.
A lot had happened in the 3 months since the combat tournament had been arranged and announced against the LAFF. But the interaction Jake and Anna were currently having with their visitors was one of the most unexpected.
So, yeah, I know a simple
Hey, it's Fear herself. What up?
apology isn't really gonna do anything to make up for me getting Dresden to lock you up in the back cells, and, you know, everything else I did, like making the physical forms for the Archons. But I am sorry, and I'm trying to do better now.
Jake and Anna just stared at the former Demon Queen, Fear herself, who is now exclusively going by her original name, Arava.
Right.
Dresden Oakland was on one
For some reason, my brain did not remember the name until he was about to say it.
side of her, and an archangel with wings and curved goat horns named Copri stood on her
Hey,
other
what up,
side.
Copri?
Evangeline Trismegistus was standing right behind Jake and Anna, as was Counselor Hay, likely in anticipation of this event causing some big emotions in Jake and Anna. But it didn't really have that result. Jake looked at Anna, then back at Arava. I don't want to speak for Anna, but I'm not really holding a grudge against you. What you did was obviously terrible, but honestly, back cells feels like it was a million years ago now. Anna nodded.
Yeah, and
I guess plenty of time has passed.
you know, that it was a good thing to do or anything, but if you hadn't gotten Dresden to lock Jake and me up in back cells, we never would have met each other, and we never would have met the Sharp Gang, and never would have ended up here at Tahe.
Yeah, that is true.
It might not have been fun at the time, but all the best stuff about my life happened because I got locked up in back cells.
Jake nodded in full agreement.
In a roundabout way, thank you, Arava, for being so cruel.
The angel, Capri, almost looked like he was getting choked up in response. That is a wonderful attitude to carry in reflection of a very difficult ordeal you both went through. Thanks, Jake said. But yeah, honestly, no offense to you, Arava.
Arava, yeah.
But I'm kinda more interested in what you have to say, sir. Anna and I never met any of the angels from our homeworld. Did you seriously make these? Jake raised his hand, showing
yes.
the green gem embedded in it, and pointed his other hand down to Anna's foot, bearing a similar blue gem. Before Capri could speak, Arava interjected.
So that's it? You guys are just cool with me not being strung up by my neck or anything for what I did?
Jake shrugged and distractedly said,
What under the bridge, Arava? It's all chill now, it's all cool. Well, you're making amends, and you're in the RAS Foundation, and Dresden is not a jackass that we want to murder. Oh, I mean, we do still want to punch the guy, but it's not even to that level anymore. And plus, we don't even have to punch him now since someone did for us.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you're getting the help you need, so we're cool, I guess.
Yeah, everything's
Arava just
chill.
looked at him and Anna, who seemed to have the same attitude.
This was a lot more anticlimactic than I thought it would be.
Jake sort of chuckled.
Oh, Rava.
We've got a lot of other stuff going on. Did you think we were gonna try and fight you or something?
Yeah, kind of. Like, try.
Of course
Arava
he
muttered.
did.
Dresden put a gentle hand on her shoulder. All right, Arava. Jake and Anna clearly have questions for Capri, so let us head home and be grateful that Jake and Anna harbor no resentment for yours or my actions.
Fine, but it is kind of weird, isn't it?
Arava asked.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, it is. Somehow we have both found ourselves around an astoundingly large number of forgiving people. But let us not question it and poke holes in the good we've found. Dresden took a few steps back with Arava and transported back to the RAS Foundation's dimension, where Arava was being kept. Capri remained and was finally able to respond to Jake's question. I did create the gem that Jacob wields,
Here we
though
go.
collectively the gems of the angelic were made by my siblings and I. We'd made them as a way for humans to fight back against the demons that Arava spent much of her life creating and commanding. Thankfully, many of those demons are now no longer a threat to the homeworld we all hail from.
Well, technically speaking, only the dinosaur/animal demons are asleep. I think some are still up and active. Of stuff that would be like concepts of time, space, unknown, shit like that.
Anna asked.
So, you're not here to take them from us then? We haven't really used them much to help our own world, but we are using them for good things.
Capri softly smiled reassuringly. Do not fear, I have no intention of taking the gems from you. I could not even if I wanted to. There was always a risk of my siblings turning to demons, so we ensured that once a gem had chosen a human vessel, that gem was theirs until their life was lost, or they willingly rejected it.
Oh.
The gems are yours so long as you choose to wield them. And from what Dresden has told,
That's actually good to know. Oh, the gem chooses you. You could have the gem, be holding it, but if it rejects you, you ain't got shit.
me, they could not have found more suitable hosts. The gems Jake and
Oh,
Anna
yeah.
both
Pretty
gained their
damn good.
powers from had been the reason Arava, back in her days as Fear herself, had made Dresden lock Jake and Anna away in the first place, to get rid of the gem users and keep them from going after her demons. Jake nodded excitedly. That's very nice of you to
I wonder
say,
what the
Archangel,
others
sir.
are.
But are there things the gems can do that we don't know about? Are there other powers we could unlock that we haven't figured out yet? The gems
Ooh,
were made
that'd
to
be cool.
grow with their users. Getting them at a young age, as you have, means there is ample opportunity for them to become more powerful as you grow up with them and continue to push past your own limits and
Now
get
that's
stronger.
gonna be good.
I
cool
don't
to
know
see.
of specific abilities that may be unlocked, but I would not be surprised if more abilities and methods for using the gems become clear as time goes by. That was exciting for both Jake and Anna to hear. More than that,
Hey Jake, from what we've seen so far with your gem, you can of course shoot a green projectile, but what if you were to concentrate it and construct a weapon? Could you make a sword from it? Or anything of the like?
they were glad to finally have confirmation that the creators of the gems weren't bothered by Jake and Anna taking the powerful artifacts out of their own dimension. They asked a few more questions of Copri, then parted ways with him to go and rest up. It was only 2 days before the combat tournament with the LAFF, so the Mavericks were all essentially being given 2 days off to ensure they were at full strength for the big day. They still had a campfire that night, and sitting around it, they all reminisced about how the last few months had gone. Jake and Anna had both grown closer and closer ever since admitting their feelings for each other. They'd both been very nervous early on. Neither of them wanted to hurt their friendship by trying to turn it into something more, but encouraged by Counselor Hay, they just talked openly about everything they were feeling. When they both got to see that they were both feeling the same nerves, it just helped them grow closer faster. Their first kiss had been something. They'd both come out of it excited that it happened, but concerned about how it had gone. Neither of them had ever kissed anyone before. Jake thought it had felt weird because he didn't know what he was doing, and Anna had thought it felt weird because she didn't know what she was doing.
Yep.
Jake had mentioned this concern to Darwin, who surprisingly, reassuringly, yet also sarcastically said, "Wow, the first time you did something, you weren't great at it immediately? What a shocker." Again, Jake and Anna talked about it, and again, found a connection in their shared concern about not being good kissers. They then realized they just had to practice more, which obviously both of them were excited and a bit nervous to do. After the first few weeks, they settled into their new dynamic, and they both felt like nothing had changed between them, and everything had. While bumpy at first, the transition from friends to being a couple became so seamless and natural that both of them thought it was funny that they hadn't tried it way sooner. An unexpected shift in Jake's mind had come from him and Anna getting together as well. His need to be seen as a leader by all his friends had largely faded. He still liked the idea of being a team leader someday, but he realized something about himself that had felt embarrassing at first and now kind of cracked him up. It hadn't been clear to him at the time, but the reason he'd wanted to be seen as a leader was for the attention he'd get from girls. Part of that revelation hit him when he and Anna were having a quiet conversation around one of the camp.
You know what? Weirdly enough, that actually makes a whole lot of sense. Most people want to become a leader just because of the attention it will get them.
Fires after everyone else had gone to bed. Jake had been opening up to her about how he'd been so distractingly driven to get a girlfriend in the earlier months at the school. He said, I think one of the reasons I always wanted a girlfriend so bad is because I figured it would be kind of like getting part of my family back. I mean, obviously the Sharp Gang and now the Mavericks all kind of feel like family, but I guess having a girlfriend always, in the back of my head at least, felt like a way stronger connection than just having a bunch of friends, you know? Like, before he died, my brother Mason was the one I'd always talk to about everything I didn't want to talk to my friends about. And I figured having a girlfriend would be like that. Having that one person you talk to when it just doesn't feel right to talk to anyone else.
Yeah.
Anna nodded.
You're not completely wrong, Jake.
With her head leaned against Jake's shoulder.
I mean, almost not wrong at all.
Were you right? Is it like that?
He laughed. It's way better than that, but I think that's mostly because it's you. With Jake and Anna being a couple now, he'd felt way more comfortable settling into a support role with his class. Not forcing himself into a leader position helped Jake see how natural it felt to focus on support, and how much he actually enjoyed it. His main powers were healing, after all.
That is true.
He still focused on getting better as a solo fighter, but he found he enjoyed the Resilience combat classes most when they involved team-ups. Jake got really good at seeing how all his classmates fought and how best to help them in the field. What Jake didn't realize was what leaning into the support side would mean for the goal he thought he'd let slip away. In the last Resilience combat class before the tournament with Lidum's students, the Mavericks had all been given a particularly big challenge, but luckily, one they'd all get to face as a team.
Venomized Jake. Kind of interesting that his eye over here isn't actually visible under the venom. Or at least even something that would appear to be an eye. Like, we have the mark of the glasses and everything, but that's about it. And I wonder, with his healing ability inside the Venom suit, would that allow him to, heal people just by slightly venomizing them? Or would it be able to work more like a cast? Well, the venom would wrap around them, and be able to increase a heal focus onto that specific limb and its minor surrounding area. All questions that possibly may be answered. Let's find out.
They'd been transported with Headmistress Trismegistus
Oh, this is gonna be nice. Is Volganus? I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name.
to some mountains and canyons a fair ways away from the main school grounds. The headmistress told them, "There will be times in your heroic journeys in which you face opponents that are far more physically powerful than yourselves, ones that you may not stand much chance at actually defeating. Today's exercise is to help you see that, even in the face of opponents such as this, you must still be able to find a way to rescue those in need." Jake kind of hoped that the headmistress was going to be this overpowered opponent herself, so that they'd finally get to see the full weight of her magic-based powers.
That would be
but
interesting.
Her next words debunked that hope. "I will be watching from above, and the part of hostage will be played by Gatli, who has been taken and held somewhere in these mountains. Your objective will be to find her and bring her back to this exact location. I will not be telling you who your opponents are, but know that they have been instructed to not hold back. Though, they do also know not to do any fatal harm to any of you.
Don't hold back, but you cannot kill.
Prepared for some unexpected opponents arising during the course of this battle as well. Now, before
this
we
is a
begin,
full pod.
since this is
Nice.
a challenge in which you'll all be working together, I'd like for you to pick
full
a team
piece.
leader. You may decide amongst yourselves." Jake chuckled silently to himself, thinking about how desperate he'd been months earlier to be seen as a leader. He was about to suggest that Zenith take charge. Before he could,
that could be
Zenith
cool.
spoke first and said, "I mean, I doubt anybody'll argue with me in saying Jake's the obvious choice, right?"
Wait, what?
Jake whipped his head around in shock. His surprise only built more as he saw the rest of his class nodding and agreeing. Jake was baffled. "Wait, what, me? But I've basically just been doing support role stuff for ages now." Zenith shrugged. "Well, yeah, being a leader is like the ultimate support role, right? It's your job
shit,
to
it
watch out
is.
for and support the whole team you're leading. Nobody in the class looks out for the rest of us like you do, both in and out of combat. You were the one who helped me get over Ludum being brought back into my life." Amelia added, "Even when we're not working together, you're always trying to find ways to inspire the class and motivate us to keep going. I mean, you're even the one who came up with our motto, Mavericks Get Back Up." Alcide shrugged.
Mavericks get back up. Why does that seem like it'd be like a badass shot? Like, it just says Mavericks get back up, and between the words, it's like a rising fist or something.
"Yeah, makes sense to me. You heal people when we go down, and, I mean, the whole plan to take down Ludum was your idea. I've always thought it was kind of obvious that you were the leader of this group." Jake's heart was swelling with
Awesome.
excitement. He'd never thought of being a leader as a support role, but the way they all talked about it, it made so much sense. Letting go of his need to be seen as a leader had just helped him become an even better one. He looked at Anna and she just chuckled.
I didn't think this would really be a surprise to you. Even in our first resilience class, you threw me across the finish line knowing you wouldn't make it yourself. Stuff like that has
That's
made us all trust
right.
you to lead us, Jake.
Jake nodded with a huge, proud grin. "Thanks, Mavericks. I'll be the best leader I can be. No, even better than that." With that
Nice.
decision made, the headmistress waved her hands in a series of symbols, then floated up into the air and told the students to begin. They all looked at Jake, who spoke with effort.
Now, hold on. Sorry to pause this, but one thing I have to say about this venomized form is that it's a bit of an oxymoron, because one of the symbiote's biggest weaknesses is, well, fire, i.e. high temperatures. So for it to bond with a man who literally can control and generate fire, that symbiote is either really strong, really in need of a host, or, in some cases, really damn crazy.
Confidence, knowing his whole team was backing him up. "Okay, if this was a real-world scenario, the hostage's life could be at risk every second, so we have to find Gottlieb ASAP, while keeping an eye on each other and looking out for threats. Alcaya, you're the fastest. Start searching the farther areas up ahead in the distance. Watch out for caves and stuff like that, but don't go in without backup. Darwin, summon Raptir so you and Zenith can get airborne and track Alcaya from above to make sure nothing gets the jump on her. Amelia, ride with Darwin in your normal form so you're not too heavy, but be ready to transform and jump down and help Alcaya
Be
if
ready
anything
at a
big comes
moment's
for her.
notice.
I'll watch the rest of the class from above as we start searching the closer areas. Got it?" They all agreed. Awesome, Jake cheered. Let's get out there, and if you get knocked down, we'll all make sure to help each other get back up. They all set off. Alcaya sped on ahead with her watchers flying on above. Jake, Anna, Niseko, and Kiko charged ahead through a grassy field between two rocky mountains, but it was less than a minute before Zenith had a call out for them. Guys, something from above is coming in hot.
Ooh.
Literally. Jake looked up and quickly saw a flaming blue streak shooting across the sky towards Zenith. It was coming in fast, but not faster than Zenith could move. At least, at first. That is, until a burst of blue flame exploded from behind it, and the figure shot like lightning right at Zenith. He tried to get out of the way, but was tackled out of the sky.
Literally has a turbo boost. Holy shit.
Zenith, are you okay? Jake called through the communicator in his ear. He didn't answer. The blue flaming figure pulled away from him and started heading towards Darwin, leaving Zenith with some black gunk stuck to him, spinning out and falling towards the ground. Jake wanted to head for Zenith to catch him, but saw Darwin and Amelia quickly diving with Raptir and getting close way faster than Jake could. The blue flame was right on their tail, but just before Darwin reached Zenith, Amelia yelled, "Wait! Pull back, Darwin!" Darwin did, and thankfully so. Zenith's body had become overtaken by the black slime that now even covered his glimmering wings. He took a swipe with his now clawed hand at Darwin, just barely missing, thanks to Amelia making them pull back. Raptir dove to come back towards the class. Both Zenith and the blue flame followed, and Jake finally recognized the flaming figure as Velignus. But
Velignus, that's how to say his name. Venomized Velignus. Thank you so much.
Covered over in a familiar symbiotic upgrade. Alcaya, fall back. We've got no eyes on you and we need to stick together. A massive white ring of concussive energy suddenly blasted into Jake and sent him hurtling out of the air.
Oh, crap.
He wasn't high enough for the fall to be too bad as he hit the ground, but Kiko had been knocked back by the ring too. Anna had managed to grab Niseko and make both of them intangible. Marching towards them was a short but bulky figure, whom they also recognized by the glowing rings around his arms. Unfortunately, he too was infected with the same goop as Velignus and Zenith.
Oh boy.
Hello, Jake.
The upper year, Tiny Atomo spoke, but not with his own voice.
We're glad to see you again, but have been instructed to not go easy on you. So why don't you just join us now and we can call it a day?
Jake
The voice he's doing for that sounds really close to Leviathan's.
quickly whipped around
Then again, there's only so many voices a man can even do when they're trained.
to Zenith. Zenith, I know what this is, and you can use it to your advantage. If you can keep it from controlling you, you can use the symbiote's strength to make you stronger. Darwin and Amelia flew over Jake and slowed to a stop
It's
on
Venom
Raptir,
time.
but Zenith ignored Jake's words and soared towards him, making a blue, goopy, glowing club appear next to him and swiping it at Jake, who just barely flew out of the way. Zenith, speaking in the same voice as Atomo, said,
Sorry, Jake, but with the fancy upgrade I'm getting right now, nobody infected will be overcoming control of my symbiotes.
Oh,
Kiko bounced over to Jake.
okay, that goes against my plan. Whoops.
What is going on here? Do you know this slime thing, Jake? He nodded. Yeah, Anna, Niseko, and I all do. We need a sec to regroup so I can explain, but we need a distraction. Maybe Alcaya can run around us all and kick up enough dirt and wind to... Before Jake could even finish that thought, Niseko waved her hands in a pattern similar to what Evangeline might do to activate her own magic, then slammed her palms into the ground. Plumes of white spores exploded up from the earth all around Atomo and straight up into the sky around Zenith and Velignus,
Oh, that's
blinding
useful.
them all. Jake whipped around. Niseko, that was awesome. How did you do that? I've been doing some magic training on the side with the headmistress. I've got more new tricks too. Jake grinned widely.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, you're on distraction duty while we regroup. Move out fast, team. Amelia hopped off Raptir and converted her legs into her freak form to run, so that Niseko could be picked up by Darwin's Thalassodromius. Jake grabbed Anna and flew just off the ground. Kiko used her own agility to run. Alcaya circled back to them all as Niseko was shooting more streams of white spores from behind them all to keep blinding their foes until they'd gotten far enough around a mountain to hide in a small cavern Alcaya
Give it up,
had
guys.
found. They all turned off their communication devices they had in, knowing Zenith could listen through his to hear their conversation. Jake quietly told the class, Okay, long story short, these things are being controlled by a being called Scythe. He's a symbiotic life form attached to one of our teammates, Skinner. His symbiote enhances all your
Oh.
abilities, but also makes you angrier and more violent, and sometimes makes you under the control of the main symbiote, like a hive mind sort of thing. His kind
Is that guy from the back cells?
are usually weak to lightning and loud noise, but Scythe has adapted to those weaknesses, so they're not great against him anymore. Since Gottlieb's the hostage and we just saw Velignus and Tiny Atama working with him, I'm guessing all the upper years are in on this, and Kalia is using her powers to enhance Scythe, so none of us can get control back if we're taken over. We've got to find Scythe ASAP and separate him from Kalia or whatever his upgrade is. If we do that, I bet Zenith will be able to get control of himself back. Then the symbiote will actually be helpful to him instead of controlling him. Alsaya cut in. I did see someone camped out at the top of one of the mountains up ahead before I turned back. Odds are it's this Scythe guy. Jake smiled. Awesome, lead the way, but first, Niseko, what other powers do you have that we don't know about yet?
I know I'll eventually be able to get an answer from one of my viewers who thankfully has been checking out my reaction to everything from Popcross since apparently the beginning. So, just asking this now, which video of his actually was the one that introduced Scythe and his symbiote? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will watch it in my own time. Thank you in advance. Alright, who's next? Who gets Venomized?
Well, would you look at this? In the reviews for the Popcross Demons coloring book, someone finally had the smarts to put up their coloring job of good old Psycho Paradelict. Looking snazzy, I might have to try out that color scheme sometime.
Yeah, and the
green purple really does suit you. I like it.
Was another cool looking coloring job put up into reviews on Amazon for the Popcross Dragons coloring book too. The red looks good on this dragon, who definitely ain't Invisible Woman for copyright reasons.
I don't care about that one. I've got nothing to do with the Dragons coloring book.
Yeah, well, what about Mytholethal? Do you care about that book? Which has exclusive art in it, never shown anywhere else. You show up in that book along with the other Archons in the big exposition dump chapter.
Nice try, Sharp, but I'm not here to shill for Popcross books. I just wanted to see some more art of me. And now I've done that, so I'm zapping out of this weird, non-canonical ad realm.
Ah, that's a shame. Folks probably want to see us interact a lot more. Feel like we'd have some good back and forth, you know?
I would like it.
Yeah, well, they'll just have to wait until the Sharp vs. Psycho episode that's coming out in like a year or something. Till then, I'm out of here.
Oh, sneaking video sizzle into a book ad. Now that's a new one. Anyway, folks, the Popcross Library has novels, coloring books, art books, and is getting a new edition soon. So if any of that looks appealing to yous, check out the links in the description. But anyway, let's head back to the academy. Niseko explained her newest abilities, and the team
monsterization of Venomized, okay.
Was just left slack-jawed and baffled. Jake said, okay, well, let's definitely take advantage of that. But for now, you're on distraction duty while we get to Scythe. If the other symbiotes get close, mist them up. They all ran and flew off again, following behind Alsaya as she...
Don't worry, Scythe. I'll eventually find out where you're from. All I have to do is wait and be patient. Shout out to my good friend.
Weaved between the mountains. They got to the base of the one she'd spoken of and started heading up it. When they were nearly halfway up, Anna, riding on Jake's back, suddenly said,
"A deep breath."
He instinctively acted and felt as his and Anna's bodies went intangible. Zenith suddenly flew right through them and crashed into the side of the mountain.
Oh, damn!
Jake looked back to see Velignus was flying in behind them as well, and Datamo was at the base of the mountain, but blasted 2 rings of energy beneath himself to send him soaring up towards them. Niseko suddenly leapt off Raptir's back, waving her hands and making a plume of mist kick up under her to slow her descent before landing.
"You all keep going."
Jake wanted to protest, but had to trust Niseko's new powers were as impressive as she'd claimed. She swirled her arms in wide circles, and they started to glow as Velignus shot down right towards her. She acted as if she were ignoring him and kept going, until finally, she thrust her arms to the side. A plume of green mist shot out of one hand and yellow from the other. Ooh. On each side of her, the spores gathered together and formed into insects larger than Niseko. The yellow one looked like a bulky Hercules beetle and was sparking with electricity. The green one was a lean praying mantis. The beetle shot off the ground and tackled right into Velignus. The flaming foe was suddenly paralyzed by the shock emanating off the bug and tumbled out of the air, crashing into the mountain. As Zenith swooped around to swipe a clawed hand at Niseko, her mantis lunged into his path and blocked his swipe with its raptorial forelegs. The second it stopped the swipe, it spat a plume of more green spores from its mouth into his face. Zenith instantly got drowsy, trying to shake it off. Before he could, the beetle tackled into him too and knocked him back to the ground.
Beetle charge!
Niseko then leapt onto the beetle's back and flew up out of the path of Atamo as he soared right towards her, with a fist raised back. He pounded the mountainside where she'd just been, and stones burst off it, pelting her mantis enough that it crumbled to spores and disappeared. Thankfully,
damn.
with all her foes near each other, Niseko made another burst of white spores explode up from around them and blind them all, as she soared on her beetle up to meet the others, who were just reaching the top of the mountain. There waiting for them, as they'd all hoped, was Scythe. Though Gottlieb was nowhere in sight, and Kalia may be harder to get away from Scythe than they'd expected.
Well done finding me, Jake and friends. That was faster than I thought, but it does not mean you are finished yet.
The combination of Skinner and Scythe looked somewhat similar to what Jake was used to, but with the addition of the top half of venomized Kalia sticking out of their upper back. Her hands were
okay, that's a little much.
Firmly planted on Skinner's shoulder and glowing, clearly elevating his abilities as Jake had anticipated. Thankfully, on the way over, Anna had proposed a way to separate some of their allies from the symbiotes if need be. Jake and the others moved to one side of Scythe. Kiko and Alsaya ran right towards the foe, but used both their agility to dodge and weave around him as Scythe swiped at them and shot globs of slime, trying to pin them down and infect them. Meanwhile, Amelia had shifted her arms into her freak form and picked up Anna. "Be ready, Anna. This will be quite fast." Anna nodded.
I'm ready.
Amelia took aim at Kalia and hurled Anna as fast as she could. Anna needed to have precision timing for this. She got close, held her breath, and let her hand phase under the symbiote, but then regained tangibility just enough to get her palm on Kalia's actual body and grab her. Anna then went fully intangible again, making Kalia phase as well, tearing the upper ear right off Skinner's back and away from the symbiote. They landed on the far edge of the mountain. As surprised
Okay, that is impressive.
as she was, Kalia still aimed her palms at Scythe to try and keep enhancing his power. Thankfully, Raptir snatched Kalia's arms and, guided by Darwin, soared her up into the air and far enough away that she couldn't enhance Scythe any further. He was
Grab her and get her out of here. You got it.
still a formidable force on his own, but thankfully, Jake then looked to the skies a short ways down the mountain to check on Zenith. Before he even had time to ask if his friend was back, he saw his still infected ally was now taking swipes with his glowing weaponry at Velignus, keeping him from getting up the mountain to the others. Jake cheered. "Yes, Zenith is back on our side. Now we just have to figure out where Gottlieb is." Unfortunately, as Jake said that, the sky above him darkened. He looked up and heard a frightening, familiar call.
Infected Hurricane Hammer!
A figure riding...
Wait, Hurricane Hammer? There's only one man in the Popcross universe that can use such a move. Hurricane Heath.
The end of a bolt of lightning crashed down onto the mountaintop, and the entire thing shattered and exploded. Jake immediately saw Alsaya had been hurled into the air from the blast, and he flew over to catch her. Kiko had been knocked back a fair ways too, but Niseko managed to catch her astride her spore beetle. The others all managed to find footing on their own, but they were all focused now on the figure in the clearing rubble before them.
Sorry, kids, but you didn't think we'd make it that easy for you, right?
Oh, of course
The
not.
blue and black infected figure stood tall and cracked his sparking knuckles in the crater of the mountaintop.
Ludum is sure to put up a fight. If you want any chance at taking her on, you've got to prove you can handle a real powerhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Keith Hurricane Reynolds, the tankiest member of the Sharp Gang, shrieked through his symbiote upgrade. It was hard to imagine the Mavericks being able to take on a threat like this.
Holy
but
crap.
Jake felt nothing but excitement for this challenge. He called out, "All right, Mavericks, let's show these slime balls what we're made of." Jake flew up right next to Zenith and asked, "Since you have..."
As long as they can keep Scythe from being upgraded anymore to where he can control everyone, then I say everyone gets a Venom upgrade.
"Control now, can you infect me too?" Zenith looked down at his hands and a ball of slime built up in them. He flung it right at Jake, and it instantly started coating over his body. Jake quickly felt the urge to attack his uninfected classmates, but it wasn't overwhelming enough to control him. Plus, he'd gotten Scythe to infect him once or twice just for fun back at the Sharp Tank, so he was familiar with the feeling.
Okay.
This is awesome.
Now that's good.
Amelia sprang right at Heath with nearly her entire body converted into her freak form, save for her head and upper torso. "Any chance we can all get that upgrade?" Jake replied. "Some, yes, but it might be too risky for you since your freak form is already kinda hard to control." Before he could finish his response, Amelia punched Heath with all her might, and to Jake's surprise, he was actually knocked back a few feet, though clearly wasn't injured, as he turned to Amelia and swung a sparking fist back at her. Before he hit, Niseko flew by and shot a burst of sleep spores into his face. It didn't knock him out, but made
Do it
his
up,
swing
guys.
stumble enough to let Amelia duck under it. She smashed an uppercut into his chin. It was a hard enough hit to send a shockwave bursting around them both. But the goop under Heath's chin wrapped around her fist, holding it in place. Heath then said,
You want a symbiote so bad? Then go right ahead and have one.
The slime surged down Amelia's arm. It forced her into her full freak form and took that over, turning her into a true venomized monstrosity.
Oh,
she stumbled
boy.
off to the side of the mountain away from the others, but Jake and Anna both looked at each other concerned from across the battlefield. The symbiote enhancing the urge to destroy that came with Amelia's monstrosity form could be dangerous.
Oh crap,
but
that's right.
Heath didn't give them a second to see how her transformation shook out, nor did his allies.
Venomize the monstrosity. And now, onto the final piece for today's episode.
Scythe leapt out of nowhere and
Venomize Heath.
tackled Jake out of the sky. They rolled down the mountainside together.
Sorry. Oh, that looks like it hurt.
Scythe said as he landed his massive body weight on top of Jake and pinned him to the ground.
Unfortunately, I was told not to hold back, so...
He swung back his head for a headbutt.
Hey,
Jake
it's
felt
fine.
the enhancement of his symbiote, though, and tensed his chest. A glowing green tendril burst out and smacked Scythe in the face. He shook it off, but before he could try striking again, Anna leapt at Jake and snatched him from under Scythe, turning them both briefly intangible to get away.
Ooh,
Jake smiled
okay.
at her.
Thanks, Anna. You, want some symbiote, or are you too traumatized by the last time?
She smiled.
I think I can handle it better this time.
Jake infected
Anna,
her
here's a
too,
little.
giving her a symbiotic form that she'd had once before. Together, they charged back in to
Ooh,
attack Scythe.
okay.
Anna latched a tendril from her onto Jake, so that any time Scythe took a swipe, Anna could make either of them intangible to dodge. It also meant Jake could heal her from a distance if she got hit.
Perfect.
Meanwhile, on
perfect.
top of the mountain, Heath was pummeling anyone who got close, and was using tendrils of his own to grab and lure in his prey. He was pulling his punches enough to not do any serious harm, but everybody was getting pummeled more than they'd ever been in Resilience class before. Jake and Anna managed to bring their fight with Skinner higher up the mountain so that Jake was in range of the others to heal them with his tendrils, but Skinner, Heath, Malignus, and Atomo all caught on quickly and did everything they could to make sure Jake couldn't do much healing. Even with Anna making him intangible to avoid strikes and get closer to his teammates,
One thing though that I did just remember, the goal of this mission was to save the teammates. So I think even though they may possibly win against Venomized Heath, they may end up losing with today's lesson. Whoops.
their opponents
I
were
hope not.
always prepared to get him away before he could do much. Malignus had tried to get Kalia away from Darwin so she could start upgrading Skinner again, but the whole class made it a priority to make sure that didn't happen. At the same time, no more of them decided to get infected, on the off chance Kalia did get back in the fight and let Skinner control the infected Mavericks. The class spent the whole battle feeling outmatched and on their heels, but none of them were willing to back down. They all fought
This
as if
is
this were
great.
life or death, knowing that the next battle they'd face after this one very well could be. Still, it was looking hopeless that they'd all stay conscious long enough to find the hostage, let alone rescue her. Thankfully, they were farther along in that venture than they all thought.
Oh, really?
Springing back onto the battlefield, carrying Gottlieb under her arm, was Monstrosity, still fully coated in her symbiote. She quickly spotted Darwin astride his flying mount circling above, and, a little more violently than she likely should have, hurled Gottlieb up towards him.
Whoops.
Darwin did his best to swoop under Gottlieb and landed her on the back
Ain't nothing better than a nice good chuck to your teammate.
of his summoned ally. Monstrosity then just roared.
Go!
Darwin flew off back towards the mission's starting point.
Awesome.
Reptier was moving slow, carrying Darwin, Kalia, and Gottlieb, but thankfully Zenith swooped over and grabbed Kalia to help, and flew off with Darwin and the rescued hostage. Malignus quickly got in pursuit, but Niseko soared up into his path to fight him off, with her spores and beetle. Heath was about to leap off the mountain towards Darwin when Monstrosity lunged towards him and punched him full force in the head. This time, Heath was smashed so far back, he was hurled off the mountain and crashed into the side of the next.
Oh,
Amelia leapt
sweet.
after him, bounding all the way across the gorge to tackle Heath. Though, he managed to catch her by the shoulder and headbutt her so hard, she was hurled down to the base of the last mountain, crashing and rolling along the stones. Thankfully, she got up quickly. Heath was soaring through the air towards her, but just as he got close, she exploded off the ground and smashed her fist under his chin. It hit hard enough to knock him back,
another
but he
uppercut.
grabbed her arm, and they crashed down to the ground together. Heath managed to flip over her and get her pinned down below him.
Seems like I don't have to hold back with you.
He pounded his...
Well, it's mostly because of the monstrosity form and the venomized form. But technically, if you both remove the venom form, it would just be the monsterization that would help increase her durability. So, yeah.
Barking fists into her head over and over. She raised her arms to block, but he just smacked them out of the way. Even with her venomized monstrosity upgrade, she was getting dazed and couldn't fight back much longer. Heath raised both his fists into the air above him for one final blow. Amelia was too out of it to block. But then, two glowing green tendrils wrapped around her ankles.
You've got this, monstrosity!
Jake yelled, sending a surge of symbiote-enhanced healing energy right into his ally. Her fluttering eyes shot open, and she felt like she'd just been given a shot of adrenaline. Heath slammed his fists down, but Amelia caught both of them, then threw them aside and punched Heath dead in the chest so hard the shockwave sent Jake flying backwards. When he recovered, floating in the air, he saw Heath spinning out, spiraling into the clouds above. Jake then yelled as loud as he could.
Mavericks, we've got our target and the big guy is out of the way for now. Everyone, fall back.
They all regrouped as they charged and flew back towards the start. Scythe and Atomo were trying to stop the retreat, but Jake managed to heal some of the team with his tendrils as he flew, giving them all enough energy back to fight off the foes as they neared the goal. When they were almost there, though, the skies above them darkened once more. Heath was soaring down with a twister of hail spinning around him. Amelia saw him coming and, despite nearly being at the finish line, she stopped and let the others move on ahead. She crouched down, gathered all the strength in her legs she could, then sprang off the ground right into Heath's path. He swung a fist at her and she swung at him. Both of them met their mark and a ring of hail and rain exploded around them. Heath was shot up into the sky and Amelia right back down into the ground. She slammed a crater into the dirt right next to her class as they reached the end line. The symbiote melted off her body, and with her eyes shut, she slowly shifted back into her human form. Jake immediately slid down into the crater and wrapped his healing tendrils around her. Within seconds, she was awake again. Did we do it? Of course we did. Thanks to you holding off Heath. If you can control monstrosity even with a symbiote on you, I bet there's no stopping you now.
Hell yeah.
She smiled back and raised an arm. Good. Now help this Maverick get back up, would you? He pulled her to her feet and the whole class celebrated their victory. Well, as best they could, given how exhausted they all were. When the trial was over, all the Mavericks were glad they'd have 2 days to recover. They all definitely needed it.
Great success, everyone. Perfect all around. 10s across the board.
All of them would be heading off to Ludum's tournament, and they'd need to be in peak condition for the next challenge ahead. Originally, there were going to be tryouts school-wide for this tournament, but now it had been decided that 7 of the 8 Mavericks would be taken, considering it was their plan being enacted. Unfortunately, one of them would not be able to compete, since with Alsaya in the class, there were 8 of them and only 7 tournament slots. Kiko offered to observe from the sidelines, along with Evangeline and the upper years, who would be coming to watch. Unbeknownst to them, they'd all still have plenty to do when that day finally came. Ludum had said that there would be space for the entirety of Tahe to come and watch the competition, but Evangeline didn't trust Ludum enough to endanger her whole school by taking them to Ludum's dimension. Evangeline had tried to convince Ludum to have the tournament at Tahe, which would have made the plan much easier to execute, but there was no chance of that since the incident with Goggins. It seemed like Ludum had become much more paranoid about leaving her own dimension, which is why they could only make their move on her once her guard was down. Ludum was suspiciously accepting of more Tahe students not coming to watch the event, and said she'd be filming the entire ordeal, so that Evangeline could bring footage home and show the rest of her pathetic school.
I get a feeling C is planning to have someone like attack the school like during the tournament. That's why he's okay with so many of the Tahe students not going.
How embarrassingly the Tahe students had lost. Their plan still involved the actual tournament happening. It was a fairly simple plan too. It mainly revolved around getting Ludum out of her dimension, thereby weakening her and surrounding her with an overwhelming amount of opponents to deal with. Katas had a device that essentially allowed her to bring a portable pocket dimension around with her, inside of which chimeras could be created to train against. Because it was portable, whatever dimension the device was in, it then became connected to. From talking to Waru and Katos over Jake's multiverse jumping wristwatch, while Saya had left at the
Kinda forgot about
LAFF,
that.
they gathered that Waru was probably the most powerful of all the students that were going to compete in the tournament. As much as
And he's just growing stronger.
all wanted to do their best in the challenge, the ultimate
I mean, hell, last time the dude finally figured out how to be able to use 2 powers at once. If he can somehow get all 3, he will truly have mastered it. And that goes out to my boy Yorick for finally breaking through to him. Good job, Yorick.
goal was getting Ludum out of her dimension. So they decided to ensure that Waru was the one to win the tournament, and carry with him Katas's pocket dimension. Waru had seen that Ludum had constructed a massive victory podium and would likely make a huge show of bragging that one of her students had won the tournament. As she was doing that, congratulating Waru, he'd take the opportunity to grab her and pull her into the pocket dimension. Either Anna with her watch, Katos with Jake's watch, or Evangeline with her powers, whoever was closest, would then transport the device to a secluded part of dimension T905, Tehran Janivar's home dimension, which was now watched over by the one Archon demon that had turned on her siblings and was working with the Sharp Gang.
That's right.
There, the majority of the Sharp Gang would be waiting, as Ludum was released from the Chimera capital with Waru. The Archon Toralei would have her realm locked, so Ludum couldn't transport out of it. The rest of the Mavericks and their upper years would then be brought in for what would hopefully be a very short fight to restrain Ludum. Outside her own dimension, it shouldn't take
I don't see it being a short fight. I see it being long.
a whole army of heroes to beat her, but they were taking no chances. Ludum could have anything waiting up her sleeves to protect her.
Oh, definitely.
Sitting around that campfire a couple days before the fateful day of the plan, the Mavericks all knew they were in the calm before the storm. Even still, with the knowledge that they knew they had to expect the unexpected, they were all sure of one thing. After the day of the combat tournament, Eloise Ludum would never be a threat to the multiverse again, no matter what they had to do to achieve that.
Oh, I just got a weird feeling. I have a feeling I know what's gonna happen, but I'm not 10,000%. So I'm gonna hold off on that. Anyway, badass.
If you enjoyed this, you might want to go back to the original Multiverse Tales Maximum Venom episode, because I've actually done this topic before, and that episode also mainly revolved around Jake. Or if you want a real throwback, you could go back
Oh, that would be the episode that introduced him, wouldn't it? Huh, okay.
to the very first time I Venomized things, and check out My Hero Academia Maximum Venom. Ended up doing 3 episodes of that overall. Well, besides that, that's all
was
for
pretty
today,
cool.
except of course for ending this video on some kind of
Positive
or
or inspiring
note.
note.
And the thought I want to leave people with today is a quote from a man who I'm a big fan of, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who said, "My goal is not to be better than anyone else, but to be better than who I used to be."
Ooh, that's
It's a
good
fairly
one.
common concept as far as positive and inspiring messages goes, but I think it's always a nice reminder to focus more on your own improvement and not how you're doing compared to other people. So I hope that's inspiring or helpful. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday for something with K-pop Demon Hunters, because I love the movie and lots of people have asked me to use it.
Yeah, okay. I actually haven't heard too much about that, but before I get into that, let me go ahead and just give the outro. Thank you all for joining me for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see y'all next time when we flick back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.